Kakadosh Boker Tov. We're just continuing with the halachot of Tisha B'Av. Yesterday we spoke about different halachot of Seudat HaMafseket, and now we're going to continue with the halachot of Tisha B'Av in itself. Tisha B'Av says, Maran and Siman Tav Kuf Nun Daled is going to be asub rechitza v'sicha. You're not allowed to come into whether it's going to be to anoint yourself, to wash yourself, and this also even applies during the Ben Hashmashot until Tzeta Kochavim as well, which means even during twilight, it's going to be the same halacha, right? As we just mentioned before. And what happens is that now you're not allowed also to put on shoes. You're not allowed to have tashmish hamita ve'asul likro b'Torah. You're not allowed to even learn whether it's Torah, Nevi'im, Uktuvim, whether it's the Tanakh, to learn Mishnah, Midrash, Agadah, right? All these different things. Why? Because Pikudei Hashem Yisharim Yisamech Elev, right? The Torah in itself makes us happy. And on Tisha B'Av, we're not allowed to be happy. V'tinukot shebet Rabban betelim bo. And there's no school, there's nothing. You're going to rather read in Yov or things which are happening, all the different things happening, whether it's in Yirmiyahu and other things as well. And says Maran, if it's going to have Pesukei Nechama, they usually come and they skip them over. There's a whole machloket exactly. Do you actually say the Pesukei Nechama at the end of every single kinah? There's a machloket. Do you say them? Do you not say them? If you do say them, you have what to rely on. But the majority of people, they come and they usually skip out the nechama. Some people, they come and they do a compromise. That in the nighttime, they will skip it out. During the morning, they will say it. Or for sure, they will actually say it during mincha time. Because that's the time that we actually say nachamu, nachamu. That's the entire time that we're actually mentioning the concept of nechama. So it is actually brought down the importance, whether it is of actually learning Torah or not. But it's very important, the understanding of the kinot. Why? Because you have to remember that when a person comes and they say the kinot is actually supposed to open up our hearts to understanding what happened during the Khurban, during the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. And that's why if you actually pay attention, even the Ishmatzliach, right, they have all the different kinot that we actually say as well, because again, the main concept was done, which was the kinot. After the kinot, and afterwards, when a person has, because at the end of the day, kinot doesn't take the entire day. The kinot is in the nighttime. Usually by the time they finish the kinot, they go home and they already go to sleep. But in the morning, when you finish the kinot, you still have the entire afternoon. So what are you going to do? So here you have the ter, or whatever it is exactly, that you're going to start learning different things which are permitted to learn on Tisha B'Av. So it has to do with things of the Khurban, things of the destruction. However, though, a person should just understand that he shouldn't make the Ikar the Tafel and Tafel Ikar. The Ikar of Tisha B'Av is the lamentations, the Echa, the Kinot. It's not the learning. The learning, there's actually brought down here, a machlok that the poskim, is there a chiyuv bichlal to learn during Tisha B'Av or not? Some people say yes, some people say no. Rav Vadia wants to say that even if you're going to say that there is a chiyuv, right, at the end of the day, he still wants to come and say that it's very important to understand, right, the concept of the midrashim of Echa and everything that happened through the Echa, the story, right, of what actually happened throughout the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. So that's going to be very, very important. Maran and Siv Bet also says that it's mutal lilmod midrash Echa u'perek elu megalchin. You're allowed to also learn the midrash Echa or the perek elu megalchin, which is the third perek of Moed Katan, but that speaks about Hilchot Avelut, or to learn the Pirush of Echa and the Pirush of Yov, right? So it's not only just a midrash, even the Pirushim of Echa and Yov. A lot of people actually, after the kinot on the morning, would actually go through the entire Yov. Now, Siv Gimel says, you're not allowed to come and learn even through Hirhur, which means even if I'm just going to be coming and thinking in my mind, you're not allowed to learn also. So the learning is very important that a person has to pay attention. And the last part that we're going to learn is that it's mutar likrot kol seder hayom parashat korbanon mishnat ezo mekoman midrash b'Yishmael. You're allowed to come and read the other parts of the tefillah during the Tisha B'Av, which means that it's not any worse than actually reading the Torah or being maftir in the Navi, and therefore anything which was part of the seder of the tefillah is going to be permitted, right? Why? Because that's part of the tefillah. So therefore you're allowed to continue saying, right, anything which you usually say during the tefillah, even though technically certain parts is umekoman, or certain parts which is going to be Torah Shebe'al Peh, you're allowed to say the normal parts of the tefillah on the day of Tisha B'Av.